This tutorial will cover how to make the wheel box. We are in the 2016 rover folder. I'll go to the demo files and click on cribs. So what we're going to make is the wheel mount on the 2014 rover. This held the bearings for our wheel. It consisted of several different plates. We kind of drilled some holes in the side. There's a hole in the top. This steering bar came off the front. There's a little add-on we put here for the tie rod. And on the back side, we go to a different view. We had this flange coming off of here as well. So we kind of cobbled this together. This is one of the things we learned how to build. This is one of the students from last year, their CAD drawings. So we're going to learn how to do this in Fusion 360. The first thing we're going to make are these side plates on either side and the top plate on the top and bottom. So to do that, I'll get rid of, I'll just hide the data panel. I'm going to start out just by making a 2-point rectangle. Since I'm making the side plate, I'm going to make it on this plane right here. I'm not going to worry about the correct size. I'm just going to put it in there, and then I will add the dimensions. I believe that this is 4 inches. I'll hit enter, and that this side is 6 inches. Hit enter. Hit the magnifying glass to fit it and zoom it to the screen. I like to zoom out just a little bit more. And we'll go ahead and hit stop sketch. I'll go back to my home view, just so it's kind of angled. Select that face. I'm going to right click, select press pull. And for the distance over here, it's mirrored right here. I'm going to put 0.5. And now we've got a 1/2 inch thick plate. The next thing we need to do is, if we look at this, there's a hole in the center of that plate. We can come down to the next drawing. It's 4 by 6. This hole is 2 inches in diameter, and then over 2 inches and down 3 inches. So once again, I'm just going to go ahead, start the circle tool, and instead of selecting one of these planes, I'll just go ahead and select the surface that I already made. And once again, I'm just going to put a circle in here, not worry about where it is or how big it is. But then I'll come through the dimension tool and say from here to here, that's 2 inches, so that'll move it horizontally to the center. And then for reference, from here to the center of the circle, I want that distance to be 3. And that'll put us in the center of the circle there. And then this hole was 2 inches for our bearings. So I'll go ahead and hit stop sketch. And if I hover over here, it highlights the area inside the circle. If I hover cursor over here, it highlights outside. I'm going to take this inside area, right click, and press pull that. But instead of making a new body, or if I kind of extend it out, it'll tell me that I'm joining those two things together. I want to go the opposite way. I want to go into the material, and I want to perform a cut. And I could just mark off the distance right here, but I'm going to go ahead and select the face that I want to cut through. That way, in case I adjust the thickness of my material, this hole will always go through to the face. And instead of turning this around backwards, I'm going to hover over the front side, but I'm going to left click, and I'm going to hold on that left click. And now this menu comes up, and if I drag down here to this face and this back face, I can select that back face without ever going around to the other side and seeing it. So if I click that face, it knows to go through there. And if I change this thickness of this material, this hole will always go through to that back face. So that makes our design a little more flexible. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to take this right now. It's a body. Bodies are represented by cylinders. So I'm just going to select this. It highlights my object. I'm going to right click and create component from body. So now instead of being a cylinder, now it's a little square box. And I need 2 of these. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to right click and copy this. And then when I right click to hit paste, there's two options. There's paste and paste new. If I hit paste, it puts the copy exactly on top of it. I'm going to grab this arrow and just slide it forward and hit OK. If I come back to my original and I copy it again and then right click, and this time I say paste new, does the same thing, puts it in there. I'll move this one back and hit OK. But when I did paste new, it called it component 2. So this is a new component, whereas this one is still component 1, but the colon tells me that it's the second instance of that component. And the big difference is if that I come over here to my sketches, this is where sketch 2 is where I made the circle. If I right click and edit this sketch and I change the diameter of that hole to 0.5, click stop sketch. Since these two, 1 and 2, are the same component, I just did the paste, then these things are going to update in lockstep. Component 2 is its own thing. I did paste new, so this is its own object. So you just need to figure out what you want to do. If you want these two pieces to be exactly the same, then just hit copy and paste. But if you want these two to start out the same, but you're going to take this piece in a different direction, then you want to hit paste new. We want ours to be identical, so I'll just select this one, right click it, and hit delete. And I'll say yes. I need to come back here to my sketch, edit this sketch, and put this back to 2 inches. And hit stop sketch. So now I've got the two side plates. The next thing I want to make is the top plate. That's also going to be a rectangle. I want to sketch it on this bottom plane, but it's hard to see. So I go to my view cube, hit the top, and now I can select that plane. Once again, I'm already in my rectangle tool. I'm not going to click over here on the origin. If I do that, it's going to try to attach it and add on to that component already. So I'm just going to come out here into the blank space, make a rectangle, and this piece needs to be 2 inches by 4 inches, and then have a 1/2 inch hole centered. So I come over here to my dimensions. I say 2 inches by 4 inches. I'm going to grab my circle tool, put a circle in there, and dimension it that it's 1/2 inch. Select this top side in the center. I want that to be 2 inches, so it's centered in the middle that way. I'm going to select this side in the center and select 1 inch, and now it's centered right in the middle. Last time that I made a hole, I made the piece and then I sketched the hole onto that piece. This time I put the circle right in the sketch from the beginning. So when I hit stop sketch this time, I can kind of go back to my isometric view. I'm going to hit shift and the middle mouse button to kind of rotate around. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. If I hover over here, it's going to highlight. If I hover over the center, it'll highlight just the center. If I highlight over here, it highlights just the side. So if I click this, I can extrude just the area between the rectangle and the circle and make this 0.5 inches. And there is my top plate. Once again, I'm going to change this from a body, right click, make this into a component, right click, copy this component, and I'm just going to hit paste because I want these two things to be identical. I can grab this arrow, move it vertically upward, and that's the orientation that I want it to be, and hit OK. Go back and hit my default view, and now I've got the two side plates and the two top plates. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to join some of these things together. So I'm going to hit the joint command. And when you click, it's going to give you these little handles that you can grab to join it to another thing. So I'm going to come up in this kind of unfortunate view. So I'm going to shift, middle mouse button, rotate. I'm going to grab this top view. If I try to grab this handle right here, it switches to this line. And instead of being a face handle, now it becomes this line handle. So while I'm on the face, I'm going to hit Control, and that's going to lock it in so I can select this face handle right there. I'm going to come over here and the same thing. While I'm hovering over this face, I'm going to hit Control and select this handle. I have the rigid type constraint, but that's not the way I want them to join together. I'm going to hit Flip. That's how I want those two things joined. So I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to repeat the command, hit Control, grab this handle, hover over this face and hit Control, and grab that handle. It takes this top thing and places it like it thinks it wants to. It leaves the other piece behind. I'm going to flip it so it's the way I want to, and when I hit OK, it'll bring this original piece with it. So now I've got this top plate constrained in between those two panels. I'm going to hit Shift and the middle mouse button to rotate to the bottom. I'm going to do the exact same thing again. Hover over the face and hit Control. Grab that handle. Hover over this face, hit Control, and grab this handle. It always moves the first thing you selected to the second thing. Once again, it's got the orientation wrong. So I click Flip, and I'm done. Hit my original button, and now I've got the basic part of the wheelbox made. And we'll go ahead and end this tutorial here. We'll pick up the next tutorial by adding on the rest of the little flanges and attachments.